All right. So we're up to, what's he saying? He's saying, explaining the difference between Aleph and Ches, that even though both of them, as he explained, go on Chachma, again, by Kessel, Yom Chagenu means just 1 second. Okay, so it's a high second go, it's a high second go. So Bakesle Yom Chagenu means that the Aleph Echad is withdrawn. The Memutze Machaber between Yochid and Voed. So explained at length in of Aleph. Chochma Stimo, Chochma Gluya, and even Bina, as explained. Also withdrawn. So what's the meaning of Ches? So Ches is also Chochma Aleph. What's the difference? Ches implies the Zayin Rekiyim, the 7 heavens and earth, Maila and Mata. So what does this mean? She started to explain, because there's 2 levels to Chachma. His Galus HaChachma, we're talking about it in its emergence. There's the beginning of its very emergence, and then there's Gmaris Galusa, its completion. The completion is Ches, and the Chilas is Galus is represented by the Aleph. As he explained, that when a person is struggling to grasp something, so it's like the Re'iyah we spoke about in Adam Morim. That's the seeing concept. There is a moment where he gets it, something clicks, but that click is so sublime that it's not even in a manifested Chachma level, never mind Bina. It's not even that he can articulate the essential point. He cannot. But that will come in a moment. That's going to be Chachma Hagluya. Chachma Hagluya. Gemaris Galusa. That's when it comes in its seer of an actual formula, an essential, condensed Nekudah. However, the beginning of it is, again, in the Yiddish, the words, as der Ingen is recht, which means that it sits, he's got it, it clicks, it's an epiphany, it's more a sense, it's a sight. Explained that Shammai and Hillel, that's why they both receive from Shammai Vaftalion, and yet one is Mezakeh and one is Mechayev. That's because what they got was the first dargah, and the first dargah yet unformed can then be manifested in the same, it's beyond the Kudah, but that same essential truth, we'll call it an essential truth, can be expressed in divergent ways, even contrary ways. Then he started giving a mashal of that. Let's start again at the bottom of page 31, by the footnote 40, if you have a different text, a different layout. So it's Ois Hey, second paragraph, by the number 40. V'yuven ze behektem, v'yuven gam emoshel hilodas avlad. Understand the stages of Chachma by looking also at the stages of the birth of a child. The din is that for the first 40 days after conception, one can pray if one wants a particular gender, a male. It's too late. So here's the 3 levels we speak about. Namely, the Koyach HaMaskil, the first emergence of Chachma, and the complete emergence of Chachma. Let's see it. So you have the child as it is originally in the fathers, in the seed. There, in that pure state, is totally beyond the process of evolution, of Hamshacha, being drawn out, as it were. Then, the second stage is Maaseh, ha'tipa nimshechas kvar bebetanei, received by the female, so then the womb, so there's Hamshacha. Meaning to say, there is a process of now of evolution. But in the very first stages, it's still be higher than a particular form, which is why you can daven. Therefore, it's appropriate to daven that it should be in a particular gender. However, but at this stage, already has received the conception stage. There's already hamshacha, there's already the process is set in motion, as it were. And hamshacha means it's being drawn out from its essential state. And then ultimately comes into this form, the fetus. That's the third level. The fetus, the baby, after 40 days. So this again is Koach HaMaskil, stage 1, it's the tippa. Received by the female, that is Reishis, is Galus of Chachma. And then after 40 days, it's already the Nakuda, the Chachma is revealed in the manifested state. In the embryonic chain, it's still an embryo. It's not an articulation like in Bina. Bina is already the articulated, that's birth. That's already the actual birth, where the limbs and so on are all articulated, differentiated, and so on. It's still the very embryonic state, and it evolves to final differentiation in the birthing state.
Doesn't the embryonic state usually describes Bina because it's the process of kind of putting it all together.
Yeah, so in Bina, this process, it's Taka stages in Bina. The completion of it is the birth, indeed. But he's saying after 40 days, that's still Chachma. After 40 days, it's the Chachma stage, and the Protim are there sublimated in Chachma.
What about the Tipa as it's in the Mayach Ha'av, which is brought elsewhere?
It's the Koach HaMaskil. Oh, no, the Tipa in the Mayach Ha'av. That l'chayda would be the koach ha'yuli ha'atzmi. That's the koach ha'yuli ha'atzmi. L'chayda. I say l'chayda because the mayach is not just a producer of a tipa.
Right. But as it relates to the tipa, it would be.
But it's the etzim, it's the relative etzim. But as it relates to the tipa, it's the koach ha'yuli ha'atzmi. That would be the tipa in the mayach ha'av. But there's no actual tipa at all. Mamish ha'yuli atzmi. So the three stages again, he actually spells it out. So this is the way Chachma is drawn, emerges, is manifest. In the Koach HaMaskil, which is that core faculty of the nefesh that produces ideas, that can understand, that can grasp all of the properties of intellect. So that's the tippa. There's no particular idea, it's a potential state. It's beyond Hamshacha. So that corresponds to the tippa. Correct? Clear? And then it starts to emerge. That's Bebet No'im. That's Reishi says Galusa. That's the Aleph. And then finally, it's in the Kud, it's a formula, there's an articulated vision here. Not in detail, that's Bina, but an articulated essential discovery or insight. It now has this form of a particular concept and idea. And then after Pratim de Bina, that of course will manifest and be developed in the Pratim of Bina. So, what are we saying? We're saying that Vakeser leYoim Chagenu. So the Aleph is it's Echad. It's the Echad that's withdrawn, and now is arriving at is going to be that Aleph, is, as we said before, Aleph is the beginning of the Galus of Chachma, and Ches also Chachma. That's already the Nekuda in Seichel. That's already a lower level of manifestation where there is figuratively and symbolically higher and lower. We can already start talking about components and measures. A deep idea, simple idea. Another moshel. The Talmud. So another moshel is the classic moshel that Rav and Talmud. I'm sorry. The incomparable, true Rav and Talmud. Again, the moshel chassidus of Rav and Talmud is not the classic teacher and student. The teacher is only a teacher because the teacher is older and learned more. There's no gulf really between the two. But the Rav and Talmud, we're talking about the master who understands on a totally altered level than the Talmud. So in order for the Rav to teach, the Moshe we have is the Rebbe. The Tzamtzim is called Erisichloi. First, what he has to do is he cannot entertain the idea as he knows it. As he understands the idea which he wishes to convey, it's completely beyond the realm of the Talmud. So in the mind of the Rav is a Moshe Tzimtzim Barishon also. He has to be mitzamtzem, remove as it were, stop thinking about the idea the way he does. And leave what? And stop thinking about the idea completely? No. And to only allow, to consciously entertain and the kudah that shaykh to the Talmud's grasp. That's all happening in his head. Then he gives it over. So now with the hashpah itself is these three stages. In the Besed Hashpah, Yashtam Gimel Madregis, which corresponds to again the Tipa and the first 40 days and the last 40 days, the better day. So there's the Gimel Madregis Aseichel Kvisha Itzel Rav Atzmai. So in the Hashpah, there's this whole process. We identify three levels. Is the Seichel, is it by the Rav? Meaning, Shagam Lacher at Tzimtzum, even after he's Mitzamtzim, but he's distilled it to a Nakuda, it's still Ulamayla Megedra Hamshacha. That is still beyond conveying as is to the Talmud. And then he gives it over. So while he's giving it over, the child the student is grasping with it, is communication, but he hasn't yet gotten it. He's still, like he's learning the text or hearing the lecture, and it's trying to get it all to gel, to get the point. So there's that process while he's trying to, and he hasn't absorbed it even as an akudah. That's stage 2. We're clear? Stage 1 is the seichel the way it is in the seichel is going to give over to the Talmud the way it is in the mind of the Rav. And then there's the hashpah, at which point the Talmud has not grasped it. And then as he listens and he's focusing and so on, it clicks, and then he has the nekuda in the mind of the Talmud. That is the revealed chacham. So first, first it's in the Kuda by the Talmud, and then in the mind of the Talmud, he starts to analyze it and take it apart, and then he has the full Bina process as well. So now this will explain the difference between Aleph and Ches, even though both are generally Chachma. Aleph is that first level, right? All the mashal that he gave it within a person himself. These 3 stages. He gave a mashal of the Tippa, and he gave a mashal now Rav and Talmud. Is it all clear? They all match up. So the Aleph is the Tchilas, so let's match it up. So Tchilas Ha'ifos HaChachma would be what? Just 1 second, let me show something. Yeah. It's not the tipper. So the beginning in the moshel of the child, it is the first 40 days. That's the beginning of as he describes it, a first, the appearance, the emergence of Chachma. Then there is so the first 40 days, there's no tzir. Then there comes what? After the 40 days, there's some kind of tzir. But here, 1 second, I'm going to get a bit confused because he said that the tip was the koach hamaskil. He said it or not? I'm talking about yes, the koach hamaskil. The mile in begeder amshachal legamri. Yeah, the same way you said. That's the tipper. That is the tipper, as we said before correctly. Okay, that's the koach hamaskil. We're talking about the emergence of Chachma. So what we're looking for 2 stages, not 3. I'm sorry. Tchila, that's so confused here. The first stage is not a stage. The first is the mokim. Koach hamaskil, that's the tipper. So the 2 stages in Chachma, which is going to be now Aleph and Ches, is the Reish says Galusa before the first 40 days, and then Ches is the second 40 days. That's in the moshel of the what? Of the tipper. In the moshel of the Rav and the Talmud, what are the 2 stages of the emergence of Chachma? We're talking about the Talmud already. When he's first grasping it, before he has the Nakuda, but the Rav is giving it over to him. The way it is in the Rav, it's like the koach hamaskil relative. The way the Nakuda, even Achri HaTzimtzum by the Rav, is like the koach hamaskil as far as the Talmud is concerned. It's not the emergence of the process of Chachma. So what are the 2 stages by the Talmud? It's in the process of getting it, where he senses the idea. It's like seeing it. And then he gets Nakuda of Chachma. Then he distills it into a Nakuda. That's the final stage of Chachma by the Talmud. And then goes on to Bina. But the way it is, the Nakuda by the Rav, it's like the koach hamaskil. Yeah?
So by the Talmud, there's only 2 things.
That's right.
He sees it in the Nakuda, and then he develops the Nakuda.
And then he has the Nakuda, then he appreciates
so
the Nakuda.
Before Bina.
Huh? It's before Bina. It's before Bina.
So within Chachma, the way he receives it as a blur, and then
it's more than a blur.
It is a blur.
It wouldn't call it a blur. There is a conviction of. Conviction means that we're talking still in Seichel. There's Seichel. There's a very deep component of Seichel that acknowledges and understands truth. And he's open to that and sees that. So it's not a confused state, like a blurred state. It's just a more instinctual getting the point. You'll notice it works this way. When you introduce to a foreign idea, it's totally novel, it's being conveyed to you. So in the very beginning, before the aha moment happens very early on, before you can even articulate it to yourself in the Nakud of Chachma. It's an intellectual process. It's part of the intellectual process. But that's stage 1. And stage 2 is he can actually articulate the point. He's grasped the point. And then in Bina, he can explain it and develop it. He develops it and takes it apart and analyzes it. These are the 2 levels. The first stage and the second stage.
He sees it and then he's able to articulate it to himself before he...
As a nakuda. There's an actual tzir. Like it's the first 40 days and the second 40 days, after 40 days.
But it's still before Bina.
But then in the nakuda, you kind of know what's right about it. You just can't elaborate. You can't explain it to yourself.
Yeah, the moshel of the ear, which I think is the appropriate moshel. It's being in a completely in a dark, foreign room. But there's nothing in the room you ever saw before in your life. And for a second, the light goes up. And then closes. Now, in that second, that's level one. In that second, there's absolutely no even articulation of any sense. But he saw it.
But then the light
Then
closes.
then the next second is he reconstructs that moment. It's still as a nakuda, and what the nakuda is, this was a room with books, let's say. A room with books. A room with books. You can articulate that a room with books. And then in Bina, what books, how many books, what subjects, it's not a very great marshal, but maybe somewhat helpful. He's seen it, I saw it, but he can't even give a nakuda definition of it. That's the next stage. It happens very quickly. One follows the other very quickly. It's not the next day. So this epiphany moment, the Indian is recht. I saw it, I got it. Then you hang on to it, and that epiphany moment then becomes a nakuda, a particular nakuda. I can say I saw something, and what that thing is, that is whatever the subject, it's a room, it was a library, it was whatever that I saw, a garden, whatever, something for it. And then the pratim of it. Huh?
Tshuva has that moment too also. I mean, I don't know why, but I mean, at then.
Kind of, yeah. There's a truth here that's drawn me in. I can't explain it yet, but I've seen it. And they say seen the light. I mean, that's it that they're talking about. But you mean it's an intellectual level, not you're talking at a spiritual, experiential level.
There's a reason why. You know there's a reason why. You just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe that's a good morsel too. All right. Good. So, Aleph, so Aleph is the beginning of Chachma. What the Mishal, and that will be the first 40 days of the Vlad, or the Moshe of the Rav and Talmud, the first stage of the Talmud, seeing the idea. Chesed on the Chachma, it's still Chachma. There's already a Nakuda, there's already what we're talking about, there's a tzir, there's already a gender here, there's a boy or a girl, not articulated, still embryonic. The limbs and so on have not emerged and differentiated, but identity is present.
Where the Moishe is what's happening with the Rav himself before he gives it.
He said that.
He delivers it, the Kotzei Aleph, the Aleph.
What is it in the Aleph?
Yeah, in the Aleph, is there any allusion to the way the Rav?
We're talking about the Ches now. The Aleph, no?
The Aleph. Let's start with the Aleph.
The Aleph, the Kotzei Shel Yud is the
Kotzei
Shel Yud is the Koach HaMaskel, being the last level of Koach HaMaskel. Then there's the line is the Amshocha, and then the bottom Yud is Chachma B'Leif and Klali. Now he's going to Pratim into Chachma.
And in the Ches, where's the Rav? I know we were speaking about the Talmud, but where's the
Ches within the Rav?
The Rav, exactly.
You're asking where's the Ches within the Rav?
Where's the Rav within the Ches?
Likewise, same in the Rav's initial discovery.
I'm just saying,
same thing
in the structure.
Yeah.
Of the Ches.
In the structure, just that there's a mile and mat. It doesn't explain. I don't know.
Not because of the
No.
Ches.
It doesn't. No.
So in the Aleph,
I don't think so.
In the Aleph, he's speaking about the
Aleph, he got the
Aleph.
picture of the whole form of the Ches. I don't see it. Maybe it's going to be explained. 1 second.
Because he just says Ches is the first letter of Chachma. So.
That's what we said till now.
Yeah.
It's the first level of Chachma. I don't think we get any explanation as to the shape of the Ches like we do for the Aleph. Maybe. Let's go a little further.
In the letter Ches as a whole, it's Chachma, rather than the detail of the letter.
Here, there is the tzir of higher and lower, a roof and lower. Next line. The Milo Mata. Mashenki based Aleph in the East Aleph, you don't have the tzir of higher and lower. Why not? You have the upper stroke, upper kites, the lower kites. and the connection. That's not a tzir of Maila and Mata. Why not? Why not? Because it's three separate things there. Koitz, Tamshocha, and here's one letter that has upper and lower. The Aleph has different components, different stages.
I could say the Ches is one line.
But the Ches is one unified letter that has an upper story and a lower. Upper and lower, that's the things that it could. It's not made up of different.
There's three steps too. Ches, the line across.
Is what? What is that?
Is the Rav. Weights by the Rav.
But this applies also.
Because it's not going down. It's not Hamshacha. The line on the right side is the first Hamshacha. And I'm just.
No, but we're talking about this within the Rav too. This whole process, this beginning of Chochmah, the revealed aspect of Chochmah, is within the Rav too. So the shape of the Ches is an upper and a lower, whereas the Aleph it pointed to, again, the Keich HaMaskil and the Hamshocha. So the Aleph is a composite. The Ches is a singular letter that has an upper and lower. That seems to be the pshat. Okay, let's go a little bit further. Now another mashal. The mashal of the emergence of midas from seichel. This is all to explain the Ches. There's also these three levels. Again, why three? Because it's the Keich HaMaskil. That's when we look at the source, that's the three. But likewise in Midas, the same model again repeats endlessly in all of these stages because of the integration of everything in the Likus. So Midas are relative to, now we're not talking about within the world of Seichel, now we're talking about Seichel relative to Midas. But again, the three stages. So the Etzem HaSaga, which is completely higher than Midas, an abstracted idea that is completely beyond the subjective world of Midas. That's the beginning, the pure idea. It's not only that there's no excitement there. There's no veering, better word. No, Atiyah means literally to turn. There's no
bias.
Divergence.
Inclination. There's no inclination for a particular midah, period. The next stage is the inclination to one particular midah, like Shammai and Hillel. It's going to go Chesed or Gevurah. How is this Nakuda going to manifest? Which path will it take? And then the actual birth of the midah. So there's these three stages. The first stage is the Etzem Seichel, which transcends a particular inclination. Then there is the inclination of the intellect to a particular path, inclined towards Chesed, inclined towards Gevurah. And then there's the actual midah. The actual emotion that the Seichel will produce, Ave or a Yira, etc. But to transcend in the Kudus HaSeichel can go both ways. Just to illustrate, just in a very broad sense, God's greatness can engender my insignificance Yira, can engender this great God is interested in me, tremendous Ave. Depends how this essential truth is then the inclination of the direction of where you're taking it. Which direction? My insignificance, or despite that, this great God is all eyes on me. That itself gufa can be pale av in yet again on the inclination of that. Now that's determined by the nature of the nefesh. The Shammai nefesh, or Gevurah nefesh, will naturally take these truths in a Yiddish way, and Hillel in a Chesed Avadik way. consistent with their whole lives. Okay, so let's just finish this quickly. Not quickly. Now, now analyzing these three stages now. This inclination of the seichel towards a particular midah, that's only once the chachma has some kind of development. That's the second stage of chachma speaking about now, the ches stage. But the very emergence of chachma originally is too abstract there, and there is no indication which way it's going to go. There's no bias at all or inclination. And that's the aleph. But ches already is his galus. Conclusion is, aleph is, in this whole discussion, aleph is the beginning of the emergence of chachma, and ches is already a nekuda. And there the shaykh already, as it's distilled into nekuda, in a particular direction. Aleph doesn't have this upper and lower descent property. Because when chachma first appears, if the abstraction is such, there's no inclination in one direction or another. It's purely objective and transcendent. Pure objectivity. The subjectivity begins when it starts to get a tzir. In brackets, that's what he says, the Mitra says, in Kmerosh Surim Bareno on the Pasuk, the Nevu of Bilam Shagam, there he says, Be'etzem ha'chochma yeshna midas. An incredible statement, there's midas in Etzem ha'chochma. So he answers, in midas eila einam bebechinas tzir klal, they're not manifested at all, and it's whatever, doesn't go in tarichas, they're all a potential state. And there is midas of all kinds, not one in particular. It's not going to end up in one way or another. So that's the conclusion of Eisches. So we'll finish the Maimah, conclude the Maimah here. That Eisches is, in summary, the whole Arichas, both are Chachma. That Aleph is the beginning, where it's still mufshit from any Nitiyah in one way or another. And Ches is already the articulated Nekudas HaChachma. And therefore, there's a higher and lower meaning and inclination to Chesed, the Gevurah, or to some particular direction. All of the mashal that were given before.